it is. What's happening? So I know y'all like my little Facebook update. Johns. Well, tonight I'm taking a few minutes, and as you can see, I'm pulling the bed off the Jeep. And as rusty as this bed is, it is fighting me. Irritating me. So now I gotta crawl underneath because some rusty mount is still holding it on. I don't know how, because you can literally pick the bed up off the frame in the back, but something's holding it on in the front. But I'm getting there, so let me crawl under this thing, see what's holding it. Hard to believe that one little piece of rust is holding this bed on. Right over there. Let me get the torch out, cut it out, get this bed off of here once and for all. And then we got to cut our fuel lines. I've been waiting to the very last minute to do that. Try not to cause a fire, I guess. So now I'm going to pull away with it. Let me spin you around. Now you can see how bad the rear half of this frame is. It's in pretty bad shape. Somebody's somewhat made a shackle there. This shackle does not exist. The chain is kind of holding it there. And it just gets worse when it goes up. But the funny thing is, when it gets right about here, forward is good. But this section is bad. I mean, it's super thin right there. You can actually see some holes in it. It's really bad up there in the corners. Now we got the bed off. Our next step is get the truck back in the carport, jack it up, get it level, so I can figure out where I'm going to cut it. Because what we're going to do is we're going to cut this whole rear section off, and we're going to install that rear section. Now, I know some guys are going to tell me, you can't weld a truck frame. It'll never last. First off, this is a pickup truck. I have no intentions of towing with it. We're going to do some light four-wheeling out on the beach, kind of messing around. We've been welding truck frames forever. Guys stretch truck frames, big trucks. Guys shorten big truck frames. This is a half-ton pickup truck. Back in the 70s, guys were cutting the front suspension off frames right off and welding Camaro subframes to the front of old pickups and stuff. So, yeah, we can weld this truck frame. It'll be fine. And eventually down the road, behind that building is actually a perfect full frame that isn't cut, bent, or welded on at all. So someday down the road, it'll get a whole frame. Right now, we ain't got time for all that. So the bed is off, and as you can see, the bed is trashed. Now you know why I'm putting a bed on this truck. Because a lot of guys said, it doesn't look that bad. It's bad. It's really bad. I cut 2 holes in the back of it just to hook the chains to. And that side just, the only thing holding it together is the spray and bed liner. Now I'm going to talk about that spray and bed liner for a second. A lot of guys love spray and bed liners. And you know, in a new truck that you're going to probably keep 10 years, 15 years, it's probably fine. But in something old like this, where it's got a lot of seams on the floor and the wheel wells, it's probably not a good idea, because the water works its way up through the seams and under the spray and bed liner. And that's what happened to this one, I can almost guarantee you. This bed is rotted out at every seam that the inner fender wells and the floor is welded together, because they're only spot welded after all. There's no seam sealer. So the water worked its way up underneath it there. Now, granted, we live on the East Coast. We live in the Rust Belt. This truck did come from PA, so it's got a lot of things fighting against itself. But I think the bed liner is what really killed the bed, honestly, personally. We got a really nice bed that's going to go on this truck once the frame is repaired. Unfortunately, I spent a little more than I wanted to, but it is what it is. These beds are really, really hard to find. Unfortunately, this one has a liner in it as well, but I think it's just a cheap roll-in liner. I don't think it's anything real expensive. As you can see, it's already, looks like one of them cheap ones that you just get in a gallon jug and roll it on. But this bed's really nice. It does, however, have a couple little spots, but nothing that I can't live with, nothing that we can't fix down the road and make it a really nice bed. But for right now, all we want to do is get the frame fixed, paint the frame. While the bed's hanging in the air, we're going to blow some paint on it. A problem with these beds is the way they're made. At this seam here, the seam is actually where the floor is. So the floor comes all the way over and it has an inner wall. So stuff gets in here. So while I have the bed off, I'm going to take a hole saw on the bottom side and open these cavities up underneath on the inside. So I can get in there and put some paint on it, and that way the garbage and the rust and the water can have a way to drain out and not just lay in there. So I think that'll help the bed live a little longer. And we won't have the rust issues we had, hopefully. I can tell you one thing. I've taken a lot of beds off of a lot of trucks over the years I've owned junk, and I've owned a lot of junk. These beds are heavy. I mean, really heavy. This thing weighs, I guarantee you this bed weighs more than most of the 8-foot Chevy and Ford beds that I've removed in my life. This thing is extremely heavy. I can't believe how heavy it is. I can't pick a corner of it up. Normally I can pick a corner of an 8-foot bed up. You know, and I'm not saying pick it up off the ground, hold it in the air. I'm talking about just pick it up off the frame and go, ooh, ah, and set it back down. I couldn't do it with this damn thing. It's heavy. But we got that off tonight. So now we get the truck back inside. We're just working on it in the carport on the flat spot because I got stuff on the lift. So right now I'll go ahead and I'll get it back in the shop or back in the carport, working next to the shop. And tomorrow, the next day, I don't know. It's going to be over 100 degrees the next couple of days. So I don't think we're going to be doing any burning or welding. Get the truck back in here. Get it leveled up. Mark it out where we're going to cut it. So we can make the other frame to it. Now the truck we cut apart is a J10. It's got 8-lug Dana 60, 8-lug Dana 44 in the front, where this has got 44s and 6-lug. I am going to put the J20 rears under this truck because I have a set of really cool old school aluminum slots with a set of 33, 12, 50, 16 5s on them. I think it'll look killer on this truck. It'll give that cool old school look. Unfortunately, we're going to be rocking it with a white bed and a gold front end. It is what it is. It's going to be cool. We're trying to make an event at the end of August, just down here at the other side of the beach in Ocean City. We're hoping to take the truck there. We are taking some other Jeeps that my girlfriend owns. But I'd really like to take this J10, which will soon be a J20. Now down the road, this truck does need 2 fenders. I'm really seriously considering putting this entire front clip off of my other J20 on that truck. I think this front end would look cool, and this front end doesn't have any rust. I think it'll look cool. This is the old Kaiser style front end. I don't know what year this one is. This truck is actually an 84, but obviously that's not an 84 front end. It's a 1984, it would have looked like this 1979. I kind of like the old school. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Because originally I was just going to pop the 2 fenders off, put the 2 fenders on, but I noticed that both inner fender wells in this truck have a little bit of rust. That whole front clip doesn't have any rust on it. It's actually solid front end. we won't do it for this trip. We're just going to leave it alone. We're going to pray that we can get it through inspection. It's going to be a tough one. And when I say tough one, it's not because of anything mechanical wise. This truck doesn't have a cat on it, and I've got to put on no exhaust on it because I'm lifting it. And when I had it on the lift a couple months ago in the shop and the suspension was at full drop, the front dry shaft was hitting the Y pipe. I'm putting a 4-inch lift under this truck. The dry shaft's going to hit the exhaust, so it needs exhaust anyway. The exhaust is rotted out, so I was going to bend up true dual exhaust for it, because as you can see, this muffler's rotted out. So I was going to put true duals on it since I have an exhaust machine and I've got plenty of pipe and plenty of mufflers in stock. So I was going to put true duals on it, but we might have an issue with no cats. If anything, we'll get a T-tag so we can at least run this one event, and then we'll worry about it later, I guess. But let's get at it. So that's about all I'm going to do on this episode of the J10 Jeep project. I'm going to get it back in there, get this floor all swept up, ground, whatever you want to call it, driveway, get it all cleaned up for the night. Get that thing put away over there. Actually, I got to take the gas tank out. This is kind of cool about Jeeps, or at least I should say Jeep pickups. The gas tank is actually mounted to the bed. The straps are to the floor of the bed. That's kind of cool. So I was able to remove the bed. I'm making all new fuel lines because they've been patched up along the frame. So I just unhooked my fuel sending unit, cut the 2 lines. So your filler neck, all that is attached to the bed. That's kind of cool. Makes it easy. So that's all out of the way. So I don't know what we're going to do with it, because I don't want to set it on the ground, because as you can see, the tank's hanging lower than the bed. So let me get at it and get it figured out, because it's starting to get dark out. Get this mess cleaned up, and once I start cutting on it, I'll do another video and keep you guys updated, because I see a lot of guys are interested in the Jeep project. So holla at your boy. Keeps it reals. Catch me on the next one.